Ultimate Golf Clash Calculator, version 10.4. A new feature, slider ring conversion calculator. I had this calculator in a much older version of the Ultimate Golf Clash Calculator, but I left it out because I wanted to kind of streamline the information that was on there. But, I'm bringing it back because I kind of realized that it's kind of useful. So let's take a look at what it can do. So you see here for Club 1 and Club 2, what it will do is it will find equivalent ring sizes between those two clubs or equivalent slider percentages for those two clubs based on the club and the level of power for your ball. So anything you see in red in the calculator is something where you can make a change or entry. So you see here that the power level for Club 1 and Club 2, the name of the club for Club 1, Club 2, the level of the club, and also the slider percentage for Club 1 and the number of rings for Club 1 is something for you to provide input. So let's take a look, like a common one. Let's say we're using a par 3, like a Kingmaker or something, and we're going to want to use, we're looking at APOC, let's say 8 versus power 3, APOC, but say 5. All right. So we can see here what the calculator tells us that for a power 3, APOC 8, and a power 3, APOC 5, and 100% slider for APOC 8, it's the same thing on an APOC 5. 100% slider equals 100% slider for APOC 5 with power 3 balls. And that 5 rings on an APOC 8 is equivalent to 4 rings on an APOC 4. So how this can be useful, there are 3 instances where you can utilize this calculator. One of the obvious one is when you're using a guide, and a guide is providing you with a setup for a specific club like an APOC 8. And they're saying they're setting out 5 rings white on the edge of the rough. Well, this calculator will tell you what the equivalent ring size would be for it. In this case, an APOC 5 is 4 rings. Now, at this point, I do want to mention that the ring conversions that they provide in the guides from the popular guide makers that I saw will differ from this calculator. But I have screenshot and I've measured the rings from the calculator and the equivalencies it gives you. And from what I've seen, I think this calculator is more accurate. And here's another way that this calculator can be useful too. Say you're setting up on a hole, you're playing tour, and you play a certain power ball on a tour, and now you want to set up this hole at a different power level. Well, you can do that too. You can convert the slider percentage. So say I was using a sniper, let's take a 10, sniper 10 on a tour, and sniper 10, and I set up this hole at 50%, and I set up this hole at 50%, but I just want to use a power 1 ball. Well, I'll tell you now that it'll let you know now that with power 1 level you need to be at 66% slider for your notes if you wanted to use it that way. And the last, not the last, but another useful one is when you need to do transitions. So if you have a driver, say using power 3, say using an APOC, say you have your 7, you have an APOC 7, and you're 0%, you can put 0% for APOC 7 and compare it to a cat, and say your cat is at 7. So you can see that at min, well, then it's a smooth transition to a cat. That's what this calculator is telling us. 0% is equal to 100% cat 7. But also at that transition point, 5 APOC 7 rings would be equivalent to 5.6 cat 7 rings. So if you're doing a transition shot, you can figure out the math or the conversion factor to figure out how many more rings to pull. So these are 3 ways to make use of this calculator. And new feature for Ultimate Golf Auto-Bit Golf Clash Calculator version 10.4. Thanks.